Hey, this is Francisca, and this is my mid-crisis life. So, the other day I was driving home, and man, I was pissed. I was pissed. I was so angry. And to be fair, like, it was reasonable that I was angry. Um, the company that I've just started working for, my payroll fell apart. They weren't going to pay me. There was all of these issues with that. And then I needed to charge my car, and the service that I'm subscribed to, they were broken down, and I tried like three different EV chargers and nothing was working. And then I had to pay for it out of my own pocket, even though I'm paying for a subscription. And then I called the people up and I was like, hey, you need to give me my money back because basically you're taking the piss. Like, why should I have to be paying for this? And they were like, yeah, we're really sorry, but not our responsibility. You chose to pay for it on your card. And I'm like, well, not really, because I didn't have a choice. Oh man, I was so angry. Like, I was so angry driving home. And so I realized how angry I was. Everything was irritating me. All the drivers, the pedestrians on the road map, the traffic, everything. I was so mad. And again, I realized that a lot of this anger was being held in my hips, and I could feel my hips like tightening up as I was driving, and I was just holding all of this anger. So I said to myself, okay, Fran, just let it go. Just relax. It's okay. Don't worry. And as I did that, I felt physically my body relax, and I felt physically a lot of this pressure and this strain and this anger start coming out of my hips. And as I did that, it gave me this single moment of clarity where I realized that all of this anger actually wasn't anger, that underneath it, there was just a lot of fear. I was really scared that I wasn't going to have any money, that things weren't going to work out, that I was going to be alone again, that I was going to be struggling again. And it was really scary for me. And I guess the reason why I wanted to talk about it is because, firstly, I just wanted to say that oftentimes those surface level feelings that we have, they're actually just the symptom of something deeper. And I've spoken already in another video about there just being two emotions, that there is just love and there's just fear. And that oftentimes, if you can let go of, if you can choose to release those surface level feelings, you usually do get clarity about what it is actually that you're in fear of. And usually they're going to relate to the same kind of couple of topics, the same few themes that will come up again and again in your life. For me, money, finances, being alone, not having enough, having to struggle, these are consistent and pervasive themes in my life. So I think that's the first thing, because often we can get embroiled in those surface level feelings, in that anger, in that sadness, in the loneliness, or whatever it might be, the hopelessness of something, when actually they just relate to really deep seated fear that something is going to happen or something isn't going to happen. So I think that's the first thing. But I think the second thing that I wanted to talk about that kind of made me think a lot coming off of that is this. So I would say that it's the same for everybody. That if everybody looked back now, in fact, I invite you to do it. Look back now on experiences that happened in the past, like say 5 years ago, something difficult that you were going through at that time, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, and ask yourself, whether or not that experience makes complete sense. Whether that experience, now looking back, you realize how important and imperative and necessary it was for that thing to happen, because that thing led to this, or that was the first step on the ladder that resulted in all of these other things that got you to this point, or it was necessary for you to go through that experience to learn something because that enabled you to be able to deal with this other thing in a more efficient way, a more productive way, a more healthy way, whatever it might be. I don't think that there's ever a time that I look back now on my life and say, well, that was just completely pointless. I don't even know why that happened to me. That was just an absolutely pointless and wholly unnecessary experience for me to have, and it has not advanced me or my life in any way, shape, or form. I don't think that that's possible. And I think it's because everything makes sense in hindsight, right? They say hindsight is 20/20, and it's true. Because only with the information that we have now do we see the necessity of those things that we went through. But it's really difficult at the time because you don't know. You don't have the full picture. You don't have all of the information. So at the time, it can feel frantic and it can feel scary and it can feel overwhelming. I think what I've found is that the key for me is being able to put myself in that mind state, in that state of mind, at that moment in time, that allows me to recognize that I don't know for sure what the purpose of this experience is. And yes, it's difficult, and yes, it's overwhelming, and yes, it's scary, and it's all those things. But that I trust that this is happening for a reason, that this is happening for my benefit. And that's a really difficult thing to do when you're going through it. But I think what that does is actually, I think it speeds up the process of getting out of that adversity. You're not stuck in it. You're not drowning in it. You're elevating yourself and your mind and your perspective and your optimism for the future. You're elevating yourself into those spaces rather than drowning in whatever is happening at the moment. And I think that's also about just having some faith. I think having faith in yourself, that there's never actually been anything that I haven't got through. There's never been anything that I haven't mastered. There's never been anything that I haven't dealt with, because I'm here today. I'm still alive. And, whatever I have faced, I've managed to get through. And actually, the things that I've faced have really helped me to deal with situations that are similar, that have happened since that point. And I think that, as counterintuitive as it may seem at the time, and as much as it may seem like you're delusional because everything in reality is literally pointing to the fact that this is shit, for you to pretend that it's not can be really, really difficult. But I don't think it's about being delusional, and I don't think it's about being in a state of pretense, and I don't think it's about toxic positivity. I think it's about looking back and assessing the data. Has everything that I've been through so far led me somewhere? And if it has, then understand that this situation is also going to lead you somewhere. It's also going to give you something, that it is a gift, that maybe you don't know what the gift is yet or how you're going to use it, but it is a gift. And yeah, I think that really helps in terms of moving forward and creating momentum to move out of that difficult period of time. So what am I saying? Number one, don't just always get led by those surface level feelings. Look deeper than those. Understand what really is happening in your mind, in your body. What is it that you're actually in fear about at this moment in time? And then secondly, move yourself into a position where you understand that this is for your benefit, that everything is happening for you, it's not happening to you. And the last thing that I would say as well is that even if there are things that you look back on with regret, if there are things where you're like, well, I don't really know how that helped me, I wish that I had done different, things could have been so much better if I had just done this, I could have got out of this situation so much quicker if I had just done this. I think it's really important to understand that we as human beings, we are geared for survival. If you put a plant in a dark room and open up a window however many feet away, the plant will grow towards that light. And we are exactly the same. We're always trying to survive, and we're always trying to do the best thing that we possibly can for ourselves at that moment in time. Our brain is made, even if you just think about just the basics like of your frontal lobe, it's made to assess risk and to strategize and to problem solve. It's not like your brain is going to say, well, you know what? I've got these three options here, and this one would definitely be the optimum option, but just for the fucking lols, for the shits and gigs, I'm going to choose the third one on the list and just fucking see what happens. No, your brain is always going to choose. You are always going to choose, because of your innate desire to survive, the best possible option for yourself at the time. But what you need to understand when looking back at these things is that you've chosen that option, firstly, with the information that you had available to you at the time. You don't know now. You didn't know then what you know now. You only know what you know now because of what you went through then, and that has now informed your thinking. It's given you the ability to make a more informed decision because you are more informed about that subject because you've been through it. So you make a decision based on the information that you have available to you at the time, but also based on your capacity to implement that information. You may know something is best for you, but maybe you don't have the emotional wherewithal to make that decision, so you make the next best decision. And if we can look at our past errors, our past errors in that way, and understand actually I was just doing the best that I could do at that moment in time, and making that decision has got me here, then it is easier to understand that it was beneficial. And then it's easier to be in this situation and say, you know what, I believe that what I'm going through right now is going to benefit me in the long run. And that moves you forward. Okay. I mean, there's loads of things I'm grateful for. Is there anything that I'm thinking about right at this moment in time that I'm grateful for? I think I feel grateful right now that even though, for whatever reason, my body feels like it's in fear at this moment in time, and I'm not really sure why. I know that it will pass. I'm grateful that I have faith in myself that I will make the best possible decision that I can at this moment in time. And I feel grateful in knowing that this will be the thing that either leads me to greater greatness, or this will be the thing that teaches me something that allows me to be greater in the next moment.